Hello, my name is Janice B. Gordon. This is Scale Your Sales podcast. Welcome to the Scale Your Sales podcast, listed number 9 of 42 best podcasts for every sales professional in 2021. I am Janice B. Gordon, the customer growth expert, recommended by LinkedIn as one of 15 innovative sales influencers to follow in 2021. In today's episode of Scale Your Sales podcast, my guest talks about the partnerships and personalities in particular, and how important that is in recruitment and a talent advisory role. They're specialists in supporting high growth SaaS businesses and executive search funds to place graduates. Now, in this episode, I challenge my guests about selecting from Russell Group universities, and he stood up to my challenge really well. So you're going to find this conversation very interesting about how they manage their sales internally, and also how they challenge their customers around recruitment. My next guest is co-founder of Timberseed, a London-based modern recruitment business that places Russell Group graduates and early career professionals into disruptive SaaS companies and top-tier executive search firms. Please welcome to Scale Your Sales podcast, Rupert Deering.
Hello, Janice. Great to be here. There's a slight delay there. I think my internet's now picked up.
It's like, yeah, we're on. Okay, Rupert, I really appreciate I was able to speak at the recent Timber Talks. Absolutely fantastic event, lots of great information and speakers. And I think it's a really great way of promoting what you do, but also gathering people together, because it was a really interesting group. I don't know what your view of it.
Well, for quite new. So this is only the second event that we've held, and we had our first one at back end of last year in November, I believe it was. And this time we decided we wanted to do something that was designed more for the commercial leaders out there. We thought it was a great way for us to get senior leaders and people who have ideas around sales leadership together in one room to discuss it. That was the intention, was really so everyone could come away with some idea that they could implement in their day-to-day work. So we had lots of new faces in the room. We had lots of existing clients, and for me, it was, well, firstly, thank you for speaking. It was great to hear you speak up there. But I think everyone came away, and everyone who I spoke to said that they took something from that event, and have so far been able to implement it. I think some of the ideas and some of the posts I've seen on LinkedIn, for me, super proud that what we've achieved and what we managed to put on with that event at Timber Talks.
Well, I certainly think that you deliver, that everyone walked away with something new that they could implement the next day. So, well done for that. What I'd like to do is just go back 7, 8 years, and ask you, what itch did you have that you needed to scratch in setting up Timberseed?
Well, that's a good question. So I guess if I go back to the beginning of why Timberseed exists and why we first came up with the idea. So I had another business called Madison McLean that I worked with, co-founded with Anthony Forbes, which was a technology recruitment business where we placed techies into investment banks, hedge funds, financial services consultancies. And we were very niche, very small, very good at what we did. We were one of the top recruiters for Goldman Sachs back in the day. And as part of our growth plan, we always used to hire graduates to come and work for us. Now, the only issue was we could never hire really good graduates. There wasn't really any recruitment agencies out there who could deliver the candidates that we wanted and to deliver the same level of service that we were offering our clients at the time. So initially, we decided, let's go and hire these people ourselves. And we thought, actually, we're quite good at this. We came up with some methodologies, and then we suddenly realized, actually, now there's probably a gap in the market. Why don't we go and explore this further? So that itch, as you describe it, came from spotting that opportunity and knowing that there's a gap in that market that we could really go and fill. And by using the same processes and methodologies that we had found so successful at Madsen McLain, and by applying those to Timberseed, or what is now Timberseed, that we thought there was that big opportunity. So yeah, fortunately, 7 years on now, I can sit here and say that we've come quite a long way. And yeah, that idea of sitting around the table thinking how we're going to hire people from Madsen McLain, out of that's come Timberseed.
Excellent, excellent. So in growing Timberseed, now obviously you had an experience prior to that, but we're all in a new world, aren't we? So share some of the challenges that you had in the early years of growing a founding company to where it is now.
Well, establishing a business is tricky. Attracting people to come and work for you with a new idea, it's a risky proposition. Hiring people to come, as employee number 1, number 2, number 3 for Timberseed, saying, well, actually, do you know what? This is a startup. We're hoping, that in the next 6 months, we're going to be here. In the next 9 months, we're going to be there. And one of the questions which we often got asked in interviews, well, this is quite a risky proposition for me. Why should I work for you as opposed to someone else? So actually establishing a good group of people to come and work for us, despite us being the business of finding great people, that was a challenge in itself. Identifying and really coming up with our own niche. So just deciding, okay, well, what are we going to focus on? At the minute, we recruit graduates. That's a core part of what we do. We also recruit experienced hires, but what do we cover? There's so many graduates out there studying so many different degrees. Do we just target sales-based roles, recruitment-based roles? At what point do we decide that we're going to segment this part of the market and go after a certain part of the market as opposed to something else? So actually having that vision and becoming experts in 1 or 2 or 3 particular things was quite tricky to narrow that down. So I think, growing the business with good people, really working a tight market and deciding what our market was going to be, that took time for us to identify that. Of course, winning big clients as well. We're a completely new company. So pick up the phone and they're saying, well, what's your track record? Well, we haven't got one, but we have done this at another business in a completely different market. Lots of companies, that resonated well with them, the fact that we had a business and we struggled to hire graduates, and therefore we know the problems that they're likely to be facing. Other companies, for them it was, well, why change? We've already got a supplier and it's working. If it ain't broke, no need to try and fix it. So scaling the business was definitely difficult. I think one of the biggest challenges that we found was actually getting beyond the 10-person mark. We found quite regularly we'd be hiring up to 10 people, and then a couple would move on to other fantastic jobs. Most of those we're still in touch with, and I'm very proud that they started their careers with us. But how do we get to that next stage? And we're now a business size of 35, 36 people, and as soon as we got over 10, from there it started to fall into place, and we started to have structure. So I think with any business starting out, there are still lots of challenges. Still lots happening, but just getting a foothold in the market and establishing themselves out there to the point where Timberseed becomes a recognizable name, that was the hard bit, and that takes time.
Yeah, I get that. So what were the elements that enabled you to decide to really focus on SaaS businesses for, to fill graduates through to SaaS businesses? What were the things that made others fall away, and this one being the one that is your real focus?
Yeah, so it was one of the, so there's 2 core focuses, I should say. So working with SaaS companies is one of those. The other side of our business, we recruit graduates into other top-tier executive search firms and other contingent recruitment businesses. So very similar to Madsen McLain, who the previous company we had, similar businesses to Timberseed. So we get that. The gap in the market and why we decided we want to work with SaaS businesses is, one, they're really cool companies. It's very relatable to our audience. We're working with graduates. They see SaaS, they've grown up with SaaS, and they use it every day, whether it's their online banking phones, doing their online banking, or whatever it might be. All the other apps they have on the phone is essentially SaaS in some form. So it's a very relatable product, if you like, that we're selling to our market. The other thing is the amount of investment that these companies receive is huge, and there's continuous amounts of businesses that are receiving investment every day, every week, that need scaling, and we're part of that. we place SDRs and we place people into the commercial team, so your SDRs, your account execs, all the way up to the CROs. And I guess the sales team, it's the lifeblood of the business. So without having a sales department in place, without having that commercial team in place, the business is never going to succeed. You can have all the best techies building the back end and have the most glamorous product, but if you're not selling it, and if you're not selling those subscriptions and getting that ARR in quick, then the business is going to fail. So for us, we saw that as an opportunity. Companies need good SDRs. These they're very hard to find. Lots of recent graduates or people with some commercial experience do not know that these jobs exist, and therefore they need someone like us to go and educate them. We educate people on these opportunities, but we also identify and target those who we know will be good.
So you told me that your previous company, the focus was, kind of techie people. Now you've moved more into the kind of sales environment. So surely there was a learning curve moving from one to the other. They're very different animals, aren't they?
They are. What I would say is salespeople are, in my experience, are very easy to sell to. I'm certainly very easy to sell to. If I get a good cold call, so for anyone listening, cold call me. If it's a good pitch, then you'll have a meeting very quickly and hard to get me off the phone from that. But we're from selling to techies, speaking to CTOs all day, that was a much different conversation that we were having. These people are from different backgrounds, they studied different degrees and have different interests outside of work versus sales directors who we're pitching to and speaking to, or people who are company workers as an SDR or an account exec. We find those conversations flow probably more naturally. And have I enjoyed, do I have a preference of speaking to a CTO or CRO? I should probably say not, but I think, we have more fruitful conversations with those when we're selling to sales directors. I think it's relatable. They get what we're doing. And if we do a good job, if we send a really good email, if we do a really good pitch, or if we really care, we demonstrate that we care about that after sales process, or really qualify what it is they need, they get that because that's what they do. So I think good salespeople recognize other good sales methodologies. And for us, it was quite a switch, but actually it was quite an easy one because we're selling to people who are like-minded.
It sounds like this is very much your experience, because it feels like you might consider yourself more to be the kind of like salesperson, but actually your background is co-founding and growing companies. So is there something in you that really understands that sales is a core to your business? Because without that, you wouldn't have been able to grow multiple businesses.
Yeah, look, I'm hands off at the minute, so I'm not dealing with clients. I want to, and I have to get pulled back regularly. My job is to help grow the business and to do all the wonderful things behind that, whether that's speaking with accountants or lawyers or whatever it might be. But deep down, I'm a salesperson. I started my life as a recruiter, and my ambition was I want to smash this target, I want to smash this target, and see how I can, what's the best I can do. So from my experience working in sales, I love it, but I've got to step back from that. But what I guess I've learned over the last 15 years of my career, whatever it is, I've learned through trying pretty much everything out there, making all the mistakes that you could possibly make, but also making some really good findings and understanding methodologies that do work, and being able to implement those at Timberseed and coach those to other people who work for me. But yeah, deep down, I'm a salesperson by heart. I love it. I love dealing with clients. I love dealing with candidates. I love that thrill of doing a deal. But I still get that, but just from the outside looking in now, as I say, I'm not hands-on.
Excellent. Now, I read on your website that you select from Russell Group universities, and it feels that could be quite limiting. And that is quite traditional, the selection of graduates. When you think of graduates, top tier graduates. Yeah. But the world is made up of a whole diversity of people that may not have got those opportunities. Yeah. And it means when you select from that group, you're selecting, similar like-minded backgrounds. Yeah. So what do you say to that? How is that an issue for you?
I think that's a really good point. And look, yes, we primarily target Russell Group universities, but we do target other top 50 universities as well. But I think, you know, why do we do this? Well, we're selling a product essentially, and what we got to do is sell the product that our clients need and our clients want. So, you know, if I'm going and researching a SaaS business and I can see that they've hired 10 SDRs in the last 2 years and 9 of those have come from a Russell Group university and studied a business or humanities degree, for me as a business owner, it's like, well, let's go and invest our time in that, because I know that that's going to be the path of least resistance. That's likely where they're going to hire from. Yes, I could go and, you know, and target all the other 150 universities, 200 universities out there, but that would be a poor return on my investment and time. So, you know, we champion all backgrounds, all universities. We play a big part in D&I for a lot of our clients, and we advise on that. And you know, we get that, yes, you get a certain profile that come from a Russell Group university. We put a lot of our efforts into speaking to these universities, but we do also speak to lots of other universities as well. But it is an interesting point. But you know, a lot of it comes down for us as, you know, we're in the business of making money. You know, we're a commercial outfit. We're not a careers advisory service. And I think that's, you know, when we think of it like that, that is important. You know, we've got to do the best job for our clients. And if our clients are coming to us and saying, we want this, we will offer them that, as well as giving them advice on what else they could be looking at.
I'm going to challenge you again on this, okay. Because the recruitment industry is relatively narrow, replacing exactly what you said, going to the path of least resistance that they often recruit like-minded people. The managers recruit more like me. And this is why we have a sales industry that really isn't appealing to many of our buyers that have a diverse background. There's been lots of previous research in companies that haven't presented a diverse group of people to their buyers and executive and haven't got the deal. So it needs to start somewhere. And so this is my challenge to you. Sometimes we do need to educate people. If we've got a great case study of someone that's come from another group, then that starts to kind of open up the conversation. But unless you actually start doing that, you're not going to have that great case study. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
So we do
change that.
We do that at the minute. So we're not just recruit exclusive from Russell Group. So we recruit lots and lots of people. We place people who haven't gone to university in some cases. So look, the most important thing for our clients is personality. And that is what we measure. That's something you cannot measure from a CV. You cannot measure personality based on someone studying economics at Oxford, right? It's about understanding, you know, what's their drive, what's their motivation, how do they think on their feet, do they really have that initiative? You know, does this person come across as friendly, as overly friendly? Is this the sort of person that's going to be right for this client, or this client? And that's what we're doing. We're assessing personalities first and foremost. I don't care where that person's come from. At the minute, we target universities partly because that's what clients ask for us. You know, if a client's saying we want from this particular background, we will challenge that and we'll always ask why. And we should be doing that. You know, if someone says, here's my shopping list of what I want, well, we'll come back and say, actually, this is what you need based on what you said. So we do have those case studies. 1 in 5 of our placements last year was a diversity hire, which we're really proud about, and we absolutely champion that. So as part of our CX Plus offering, you know, we advise on diversity hiring and you know, from you know, whatever's important to them, and that's something that we pick up on. So for us, it is a really important topic. But ultimately, we are driven by what our clients, what our customers want. So, you know, if that's something which they open to the conversation or brilliant, but they're coming to us and saying this is what we need, then, you know, we're driven by that. But I think you're right. There's definitely a wider conversation to be had, and that was one of the discussions we had at Timber Talks, and that was exactly one of the reasons we put this on, because we want to, you know, we want to put this in the spotlight, and we want people to be aware that this is a topic which isn't, you know, it shouldn't be off discussion. It shouldn't be something which people are awkward about having those conversations or know how to handle it. You know, it's important. And that's the same for our SaaS side of the business, but also our executive search side of the business. The amount of diversity hires within executive search is very, very small, and it's not good enough. And that collectively, as a recruitment industry, we've all got to be responsible for that. And we've all got to have those discussions and work out what can we do more. So yeah, look, for me, it's important. When we talk about targeting Russell Group universities, naturally, that's what our clients want, and therefore, yeah, it's the path of least resistance. But of course, we invest efforts into other talent pools as well.
Excellent. Okay, so let's just talk internally about your sales operations at Timberseed. You said you don't impose heavy toxic, I thought that was quite an interesting word, KPIs to drive the environment. So tell me more about your thoughts behind that.
Well, KPIs, I think, can motivate people in the wrong way. It gets to a point, and I have been guilty of this in the past myself when I was junior, and I've been guilty of implementing KPIs which may have been unrealistic, to the point where people will focus more on the KPIs than actually the quality of work they're doing. So they care more about how many phone calls they're doing, or how many CVs and they've sent out, or how many interviews they've organised, as opposed to the quality of those CVs they're sending out, the quality of those interviews. For me, what's important is looking at ratios. So it's looking at, okay, how many people we're speaking to, how many of those are we sending to clients, how many of those get an interview and will get progressed all the way to the final stage. I care much more about that rather than someone organising 20 interviews in a day. So I think KPIs can be quite toxic. I think they're good. They're the benchmark. It's something for someone to aim to and to aim at. But one of the things at Timberseed we don't do, if you don't hit your KPIs, that's fine. Let's actually look at the bigger picture. Yes, the benchmark, we know where we should roughly be, and if we're constantly falling below that, then we can look at it, and maybe we adjust the KPIs based on market conditions or whatever it might be. But I think KPIs I think they can be toxic, and I think when we speak to experienced salespeople, one of the key things that comes up, one of the common denominators why people want to leave is they've been given targets which are unrealistic, and it's stressful, and it's not it makes them stressed. They don't want to go to work, and therefore they want to leave their job and maybe do something which is less salesy. And by what they mean by salesy is hitting KPIs and working to unrealistic targets. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, that I talk about customer experience in sales and being really buyer focused. And so I was interested when you talked about introducing a client experience plus product. So explain that to me.
So our client experience plus product is basically, we offer different levels of service. Our client experience plus product is where clients will essentially retain us. They're paying for our time, and we're partnering with them on particular hires. And that goes from everything from looking at their existing hiring process. So we'll do a full audit of their current hiring process, look at everything from who they've hired in the past, why that has been successful, who have been successful, who haven't been successful. We'll look at what they're looking for, why they're looking for that. So that could be a great example of, we want Russell Group University graduates. Okay, well, why? Well, because that's where we've hired people in the past. Well, actually, we'll audit that, and we'll assess it, and we might decide that actually you don't need a Russell Group graduate. You just need someone who's got these personality traits and got a bit of business acumen behind them. So the way we look at it is we're sitting on the same side of the table as our client when they're hiring. We're part of that process. And that starts from when we're looking at who they need to hire, why they need to hire these people, how they go about hiring it, how they interview these people, to post onboarding as well. So I think lots of recruitment companies and out there will they'll make a placement and then brilliant, fantastic, deal done, on to the next one. But for us, what's super important is the quality of candidates we are placing and that aftercare service. So that's about following up both with whoever it is we placed and also with their manager to understand, how are they doing? Are they settling in okay? If not, what can we do to help? Is there additional, pointers that we can give the candidate, or is there additional feedback we can give back to the client that we're hearing? And we continuously follow up for 6-9 months after that placement to ensure that they have been onboarded. And it's a small detail, but it's something which I never had when I was a buyer when I was recruiting graduates myself, and I probably would have quite liked that. And the feedback actually from lots of our clients is they've never had that before as well. And it seems obvious, right? It's it's effectively our customer success function. We want to ensure that people are doing well, and it means they come back to us. They trust us and enjoy that service, and they see us as a partner, not just as as a cost of a hire.
Mm. So help me to understand, you mentioned about personality traits and the kind of testing that you do. Is there a relationship between the personality and how they're onboarded and the eventual success? Is there some kind of measurement that you do from, beginning the initial connection with the candidate through to their success in the company?
Yes. So again, a company might be hiring for an SDR and an account manager, customer success manager. They might be looking for a sales operations person. So we'll identify what personality traits are important for that. So for someone who's working a sales-based role, having worked to targets or enjoying working to targets is actually more important, is what we want. So that could be an example of setting a sales deadline and being super organized. It could be someone who's come from a sporting background and have had to get up at 5:30 a.m. every day to go and swim 100 laps of a pool or whatever it might be. Someone who's got that target-driven nature. We also need people who are, we might assess their ability to build rapport. So, how, do you like speaking to new people? And building up conversations? Are you the sort of person who goes to a party and will make that first introduction, or would you sit there, have great conversations, but wait for someone to come to you first? And from that, we might decide whether someone's better suited for a customer success role, where they're going to be dealing with customers who are already onboarded and have those manage those relationships, as opposed to someone who's more of a hunter, someone who wants to go out and make those relationships and make that happen. A lot of the traits we're looking for are, I guess, consistent in all the roles we have. So someone who can demonstrate good initiative, someone who can think on their feet is really important. Someone who's got a bit of business acumen too, someone who understands what is happening, got their ear to the ground, and, given that they're going to be probably speaking with people who are a lot more senior than them in the role they're doing, being able to have those conversations are important. So, in answer to your question, do we assess that later on in the process? Yes, we do. I think what we look at is the successful traits of a candidate that we've placed. So this person's been really good. Why have they been good? It could be, okay, well, actually, the fact that this person's come from a sporting background was super, super relevant for X, Y, Z reasons, and therefore we know for the next hire we should be going after that as well. So we look at that, but ultimately from a personality traits, that's where that's the interview process. That's where it's tested throughout our qualification process of the candidate, and also where we implement those interviews, specific questions that our clients will then go on and ask. Right.
Okay. So it is qualitative rather than quantitative, kind of scientifically tested.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of talk at the minute about ChatGPT and all this AI stuff, and you might think, well, actually, can AI just go and pick these people based on CVs? No, they can't, because you might have the best CV in the world, but they will not have the right personality traits. Or you might have a CV that, on the face of it, doesn't look particularly great, but the person is fantastic. And you can only establish that by having that conversation and by really opening up, asking those in-depth questions and following up from it. So yeah, for us, we have to speak. We have to invest time with everyone to understand whether they're a good candidate or not. And by the way, that doesn't mean that in the first 30 seconds we know whether they're right or wrong. It could take time. And lots of our clients want different traits. Some people will want people who are sporty and who are the people who go into the parties and shake their hands. Other people are quite happy with people who are a bit quieter, and they don't need to have that bullshit attitude, and they're quite happy for people to come in and sit behind their desk and just get on with their job. So that it's very quantitative in terms of how we assess our candidates.
Well, if you often have a sales manager that comes from a sporting background, their preference is to actually have someone else which goes back to the kind of diversity limitations, have someone else that's very much like them. And it's subjective and it's quantitative, it's qualitative, it's not quantitative from a sales scientific point of view. So I find this quite interesting.
I'll give you an example, because I actually disagree with that. So if I look at Sourcewell as a great example of a company that we've built out their entire commercial team, I started working with them. There were 2 people. There are many more than that now. So Jazz Carlin, who's their SDR manager, she's a double Olympic silver medalist in swimming. So again, you think that she prefers people who are sporty, but actually when you break that down, no, she doesn't. She wants people with that attitude. And that's someone who has that drive. And that doesn't matter whether that's someone who's being super high achiever at sports, or someone who's got a drive to go and plant 4,000 potatoes and harvest them. It doesn't really matter. It's that attitude, it's the mindset that they're looking for. So you can have that drive to succeed. You can have that can come from anything, not just from sports. So and yeah, of course there might be a natural bias for someone else who might have swam at an elite level. Of course you're going to have that natural affiliation, but again, that's part of our process, and that's when we look at it. We break it down. It's okay. Well, you want someone sporty? Well, why? Actually, this is the reason why. It's these traits. Or you want someone who has got work experience. Well, why? Actually, what are you looking for in that? Is it someone who's demonstrated initiative that they can go and get a job? Does it really matter whether they've done an internship with PwC or whether they flip burgers for the summer? Are you looking for someone who's just gone and worked hard, someone who can work hard and someone who's motivated to earn a bit of money to fund themselves at university? So that's what we break down. So we, the fact that you're challenging me here now is great, because we do the same to our clients. We challenge them and we ask why. That's our job. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be doing our jobs.
Excellent, excellent. Love that. All right. So, Rupert, if you're on a desert island on your own, what's the one thing you take with you?
I can only take one thing.
Yes.
Well, the classic answer would be Bear Grylls, wouldn't it? But I probably wouldn't make it. That would make it too easy. No, I need my cap or my sunglasses. Although actually, I've got Scottish and Irish blood, so I should probably take sun cream, assuming it's going to be a hot place. But yeah. I'll say sunglasses.
Right, sunglasses. So you'll be sitting there looking cool.
I'll be sitting there looking cool, and my eyes will be shaded from the sun. So yeah, I'll be happy. Right, you'll be happy. Good. That's excellent. So how can listeners get hold of you? So our website, timothy.com, that'll have everyone's contact details on. You can see all the different areas we specialize in. You can apply for jobs that way. We've also got a big presence on LinkedIn. So follow us on LinkedIn, and we post regular content out there. So those are the best ways of getting hold of us. So if you're interested in finding out more about who we are, what we do, if you're hiring, if you're someone who's looking to get into the world of sales or executive search, pick up the phone, give us a call, drop us an email, and one of my consultants will be in touch. I'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rupert, for being a guest on Scale Your Sales podcast.
It's my pleasure. And thank you once again for talking at Timber Talks. It was a super successful event, and much of that was down to you. So we had fantastic feedback, and we were delighted to have you as part of our panel.
Brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Scale Your Sales podcast. If you like this discussion, feel free to listen to other episodes or watch the captioned show on YouTube and subscribe to future episodes. I would really appreciate it if you would leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you.